Okay.
Restaurant.
I am the Sheik of Araby.
Your love
With no, you
belongs
gotta do
to
the
me without no
pants
pants
on. Yeah, there we go.
You want a recording of
And
that?
to your
Oh
room,
my goodness.
I'll creep
Without
no
no
pants
pants
on. There we go. Mary Taylor. Now, Papa was only half French, as we know. The Cocos and the Bennets were from North Louisiana.
Oh, listen. Those Bennets,
Some ruffians.
they were different brand.
But your people are from Virginia, is that right? Originally?
Originally, you know, I mean, they were.
Yeah. You're somehow related to Zachary Taylor
Oh yeah.
and Richard Taylor, the Confederate general.
Oh yeah.
When did y'all end up?
That was here in you know, he ran the Baton Rouge
Yeah.
newspaper.
Yeah. And when did and how did y'all? You know how the Taylors ended up in Louisiana?
No.
Well, me either. I've always wondered where you came from.
All I remember, my father was in the sawmill business in the old days. That's all I remember that. And he had a brother too. I think his name was Harry. That was in the same business with him.
And your daddy fought in the
Spanish-American War. And people can't believe that.
And he used to sing the what song would he sing to you all the time? The Modern Major General song from the play. Is that right?
Oh, he'd sing some songs.
And you'd sing some songs.
Yeah, but he started me off, you know.
Yeah.
He'd sing to us. He was something.
How did it come to pass, since it's a good family?
That he met my mother.
Yeah.
He was friends of her father.
Okay.
And she was one of 4 girls, I think my grandfather had. At least 4, maybe 5 daughters, and only one son that was crippled. And my daddy always told us, he said, he told him, one day I'm going to come back and marry one of these girls. And my Aunt Dorothy was the oldest, and she told me she just knew it would be her. But my daddy, who was my mother,
Oh no.
he went back and got her. One of 4 girls.
Wow.
One of them made the newspapers really bad. She ran off with a salesman. They lived in Mansfield, you know, and she ran off to Texas. And they were in the Rice Hotel in Dallas, I think it's Dallas.
Wow.
Rice Hotel. It was the best hotel around. And she and this man were in there, and I think one of them killed the other and killed themselves. So that was a big deal of the year.
Wow.
One of my relatives had a scrapbook with all the things out of the newspaper about it.
Wow.
We made the newspaper.
Wow. How did you end up in an orphanage? What's the...
My half-sister, my father's daughter from his first marriage. He had 2 daughters from his first marriage and a son that died young. Well, she lived in Alexandria, and she was not a tailor. She was very straight-laced. What she was. And she's the one that put my sister and I in the home in New Orleans, because my daddy was too old to work anymore. He had a bad heart. That's what killed him. And my mother, she and my half-sister never got along. Never liked each other. My full sister Letty and my half-sister never got along. But my half-sister loved me. She would do anything for me, she and her husband. They offered to keep me and raise me like their own child. but they wouldn't keep my sister Letty, and I said no. I was not going to leave my sister. But boy, my sister treated me like a sister here. But that's just how it went in those days. And so we ended up, Sister Lula got us in the home, and my sister and I went on the train from Alexandria. And we practiced our manners all the way to New Orleans. We thought we were going to a fancy, boarding school. That was what my sister told me, my half-sister. So Letty and I practiced our manners and brushed up ourselves, to be nice. And they met us with this big touring car in New Orleans at the depot at the train station. And then they took us to this big home on Jackson. It's a great big building. We were country kids. We'd never seen that. And put us in a room in the infirmary. They had a big infirmary. It was a big place. Still there. I think it's a hospital for old people or something. 609 Jackson. You know where 609
I
Jackson
think it's an apartment complex now, actually. I think it's right next to, it's not too far from, of course, the cruise terminal, the former cruise terminal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The home. It was the name of it. When we found out the name of it, my sister and I were pretty upset. Because we thought we were going to this fancy boarding school. Brushing up our manners. First thing, they put us in isolation in the infirmary. And we heard these girls cursing, and we'd never heard girls cursing. We were very upset. But that's how it was.
Wow.
Turned out they weren't the nicest people in the world.
Check it out, Mom. We've got a street view for you. But I think, I don't think it's even occupied. I don't even think it's occupied. It's for sale.
It's not.
It's what?
It's for sale right
I think
now,
that's
Mom.
the building.
Is that the building? It might be.
Looks like a newer building.
It looks like a newer building, Mom. The original building,
No, it was an old building.
I think.
Had great big steps inside to go upstairs. It was fancy. I think it must have belonged to some rich Episcopalian
That's
in
right.
the old days.
Yeah.
That's all I could figure.
Right, the Taylors were all Episcopalian.
Huh?
The Taylors were all Episcopalian.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well,
Yeah.
and my mother's family are all Baptist.
Wow. It's even worse.
It's according to what you think of as worse.
Well, yes, it's a sliding scale, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's girls cursing in the orphanage or in the infirmary. It's not, exactly Downton Abbey.
No,
No.
it scared me to death.
Yeah.
Of course, I'd heard my daddy say a curse word or two when I was growing up. He was a Spanish-American War veteran.
Well, yeah, a lot to curse that.
He told us he was the little drummer boy.
How long were you in the orphanage in New Orleans?
Let's see, I went when I was 11, and when I was barely 16, I went to LSU.
Mm-hmm.
But the orphanage, or whatever you want to call it sent me.
And they would take y'all to Bay St. Louis in the summertime, and y'all sleep on the porch.
On Waveland.
Waveland.
Waveland, Mississippi, They had a big complex there.
Yeah.
Big, nice home in the front on Beach Boulevard. And then we called it the Crow's Nest, a house further, in all this land they had, with the upstairs where the girls would sleep, and downstairs we'd play ping pong and stuff.
Oh, okay.
You know.
What kind of girls were mostly there? Obviously, girls who cursed, but it was all kind of different backgrounds.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Episcopal.
Yeah.
The home was for the Episcopal Church.
Yeah.
Children's Home of the Protestant Episcopal Church of Louisiana.
Wow.
That was the name of it.
Well, there you go. And this was. You went to school 1942 at LSU.
I graduated
19.
from from high school in '42.
Okay, so you were there through the 30s, and how noticeable? I mean, it's hard to say what you could compare it with, but how noticeable was the Depression to you and to your girls?
Was the what?
The Depression to New Orleans. Was there a lot of hobos, or what was the situation? Was it
No,
obvious that
we
people
were kept in.
Yeah.
When we were at Laurel Number 1 was a grammar school. We were marched to school, and if it rained, they'd come around to the classes and say the home girls will stay for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd send us each a bag with our lunch in it. See, weren't that far from the home, but we were, I guess, 5 or 6 blocks. I don't know. Laurel Number 1. I don't know if it's still there or not.
Look for Laurel Number 1. And y'all would walk to Sophie B. Wright for school every day. Y'all would walk to Sophie B. Wright. You said for school.
Yeah.
And not all the girls.
When I got to high school, which was then,
Yeah.
they wouldn't let me go to high school at first because I was too young. I was 11, and I was
Yeah.
I was in high school.
Well, how'd you convince them to let you go?
I didn't convince anybody to do anything. They did what they wanted to do. They sent me to Newcomb.
Yeah. That's
tested my brain and my sister's. She made a 70 and I made 146.
Is that IQ or what?
Huh?
Were they putting a little?
No, they
clap
did.
On your
No,
head?
they sent us to Newcomb to.
They did an IQ test or something.
Yeah, IQ.
Well, that's actually pretty high IQ.
There's a name of it for it. It's the IQ test.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was.
And this is the 30s, so who knows what kind of weird stuff they were doing. There's different rules then. They put you on a hamster wheel. Who knows?
Oh yeah.
A little.
Oh yeah, I
Those little
remember
clamps,
playing
were
with
they
some
doing
little blocks.
Were they doing the head clamps? How they do back then?
Yeah, whoa.
Yeah, they did the phrenology.
No, they didn't do that.
Okay, because they love that.
But they did do a blood test, and my sister was before me, and when they took the blood out of her arm, she fainted, and I thought they'd killed her. We had a pretty good time at Turo.
Y'all have always had bad veins. My mom has bad veins too.
That's it. They roll.
You English people have brought so many disorders to our people
English
here.
people, ha ha.
So many.
You French people have a few little odds.
Well, yeah,
odds and ends.
Well, as you know, Papa's people were inbred, and you know.
Papa was English too.
Yeah, he is half English. That's what I said. It's
Oh,
Bennett, and then the Cocos, and his English people were carousers and alcoholics, and his French people were carousers and alcoholics, but they were rich, so they got away with it. So it's the Depression, and you decide. Is it that you decide you want to go to LSU, or did they tell you you're smart, you should go to college?
I insisted on going to LSU. They wanted to send me to Newcomb. And I did not want to go to Newcomb. I don't know. I lived in New Orleans, and that's how you were in New Orleans. And so they sent me to LSU.
Why did you want to go to LSU so bad?
I don't know. I don't remember why, but that's where I wanted to go.
And how,
There was a girl, I think, from the home that had already been to LSU that was there, that would come by and see us. I think I thought I was impressed with her.
Oh, there we go.
I think that was how I got. But I don't know. I was always LSU.
Let's see. So you met Papa, but
Yep.
the only reason you met Papa is because Papa noticed you with all the football players because of that still natural blonde hair you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He noticed me.
Yeah. So.
But I didn't date him my freshman year.
Well, no, you gotta play hard to get.
I was playing the field, yeah.
Playing the field. Yeah. The football field.
Yes.
Yeah. And you did journalism, is that correct?
I did what?
Journalism.
Yeah,
That was your major.
Uh-huh.
And you wrote a poem that got in a newspaper? Isn't that
Oh,
right?
that's when I was in the home.
That was when you were in the home. What's the
Mhm.
poem about?
I think trees.
Oh, I love trees.
We had a big old oak tree. I think that was about that. You know, I have a scrapbook of my poems when I was I started when I was 11. My mother was still living and she helped me.
Okay.
Was in the hospital and I didn't have anything much to do in the hospital but be sick. And my mother came to take care of me in the hospital. And it's where I wrote my first poem. I think she helped me. Clouds.
Clouds?
I can still say it.
I like clouds and trees.
Who knows where you are going or what your journey may be? Oh, little cloudlet in the sky, you look so soft and white to me. Sometimes when I don't know what the rest of it is. When I'm looking and I know you can't see me, I picture you as clouds, no, as something of crowds of ships. No, crowds of something, and ships upon the sea.
There we go.
Okay, that's enough.
That's lovely.
That's enough of
well,
that.
You have more?
Huh?
You have more?
Oh, well, when I wrote a poem. You think I just stopped?
Epic poetry.
Someday when I am grown or something, I've finished it.
That's
you
lovely.
know.
That's nice.
I don't know what I finished it with, but I did.
At what point did you become Catholic?
When Papa's mama was dying with cancer, well, we knew she was going to die with it. She could still stand around.
Well, that's the late 80s.
Huh?
That's the late 80s.
I joined the church for her.
That's a really sweet thing to do.
Well, she wanted that all my married life, and I just couldn't do it, and I did it for her.
Well, it's not a huge transition from Episcopal to...
What?
It's not a huge transition from Episcopal to Catholic.
Oh, no.
It's just,
See, we had a chapel in that house on Jackson. Beautiful chapel where we went to church and everything. Episcopal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Trinity Episcopal Church was on the corner.
Right.
It's still there?
Oh, yeah.
Jackson and St. Charles.
There is
Jackson and somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, not necessarily Jackson, St.
Trinity
Charles, but near
Episcopal
there.
Church.
Yes, near there is Trinity Episcopal. Yes, it's
The
very
red
big.
brick.
Yeah, it was
very
a
big.
big church. That was the church we went to.
Maybe not the exact corner of Jackson.
No.
St.
Huh?
It's before St. Charles. Napoleon?
No, it's not Napoleon. Anyway, the church still stands.
Well, I'm glad, but Lee Circle, can I still skate on Lee Circle?
Oh, so you used to skate on Lee Circle, right? You didn't have a bicycle.
Well, I didn't have a bicycle and all our sidewalks were brick.
That's right.
So, yeah, except when you go to Lee Circle, it was cement.
Yeah, that's right.
So we go skating at Lee Circle.
That's right, your people were old. So, then, with your first child, there was complications, right? With Johnny, there was was that the difficult labor? Was Johnny the difficult?
Oh yeah, I almost died.
Right, and you thought Papa would let you die because he's Catholic.
Hmm?
Tell us about that.
What?
You thought you were scared that Papa, if it came between
It did.
the baby and you,
It did. That he would choose the baby. But he never would tell me for sure. But I knew he did because that was the Catholic faith. If you had to choose one, you had to choose the infant. And I knew that was the rule.
well, without
And the doctor took him out in the middle of the night.
how long was the labor?
20-some hours. I could see bowls of rice all over the room. I was hungry.
This is 1948. Is that when Johnny was born?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1948. I don't know why I remember that. And then you lived in Crowley for a little while.
Mm-mm.
You didn't know. It's just Papa worked in Crowley for a little while.
Well, he worked at different towns around, but he didn't stay there.
Okay, so he just had the office in Crowley.
Opelousas, maybe you're thinking about. We
There we
lived
go.
there a while because
Okay.
he was judge there.
Okay.
He was kind of like a visiting judge.
The circuit rider, yeah.
Yeah, when they didn't
Circuit
have a
court.
judge somewhere, well, they'd appoint him.
And then, but y'all were relatively poor for a while.
Oh, relatively.
Y'all were actually poor.
If I had had a cup to beg, I went all around town and tried to get a job when we first moved here. Nobody would hire me.
You don't have the right last name, maybe.
No. So I went to work for Papa and his uncle.
Well, you did do a stint teaching 8th grade, and that didn't work out for you, right?
That was in Florida.
Yeah, tell me that. Now tell me.
Oh, they were
This,
bad.
yeah, I'm skipping something. First off, your brother John, Uncle John, you lived with him at some point.
No,
Yeah.
he was in the army,
He was in the army.
and he was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And he remembers. He'd send us little trinkets and stuff. I still have.
So you never lived with Uncle John? No.
Yeah,
You did live with Uncle John.
yeah. When my mother got out of Darbert, you know, she was in Darbert Sanitarium in New Orleans
Oh.
with TB
Oh, okay.
for 11 months.
Wow.
And we were there, my sister and I were in New Orleans in the home. So we get to go see her. They let us go visit her.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we didn't get TB, but we didn't. And she lived there. It was, you know, for 11 months. When she got out, she moved to Ellick. My daddy died while she was in the hospital, I think. Must have been 1937. I was 11. No, 6, 7, yeah.
How, what's your connection to Florida?
With what?
With Florida. How did you end up teaching in
Florida?
Yeah,
Oh, Papa was in the Naval Air Corps
that's right.
for the war.
Yeah.
And he was stationed, of all the places to have a airport, a naval airport, was Lake City, Florida. It was 60 miles from Pensacola, or Jacksonville.
And you did a stint teaching there as an 8th grade teacher.
Well, they were hard up for somebody to work.
Huh.
And so they hired me in the superintendent's office to work, you know, as a secretary. And I stayed there a week, and the principal of the high school came by and needed me to go teach 8th grade. And I was stupid enough to go because it was more money. More trouble, too.
No money, no problems, they say.
No.
So
that was my teaching experience. I didn't enjoy it very much. Especially a boy asked me for a date.
and what did you tell him?
He knew I was married.
Hmm.
I got my wooden paddle. One of the boys brought me a wooden paddle. And boy, when they get out of line, grab the ankles. And I whop them.
But still
I had
they
to.
were.
Still
they would resist.
Oh yeah,
Even
they were
after
bad.
you couldn't break them.
The girls were terrible.
They're messy, huh?
They were bad.
Yeah.
Had a few nice ones. They'd come by the apartment where Papa and I lived and visit and so forth. That was fun. I lived in Lake City, Florida He was there for a year in the Naval Air Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to worry to death when we'd hear the planes go over. They were PV-2s, whatever that is, but we call them flying coffins.
Oh, wow.
'Cause when they have to belly land, it just blew up. The gas tanks were underneath or something.
Papa told me they used to shoot whales out there in the ocean.
He told you about going up in that.
Throwing up.
That look, yeah.
But Papa was smart, and Papa got the right transfers and never had to see combat.
Oh, he knew how to work.
He knew how which paper goes where.
Oh yeah.
And besides playing,
and he had a wave that would sign him in like he flew, and he hadn't. He didn't like to fly. It made him sick. He was air sick.
He's a hero.
Huh?
So it's a hero in a different kind of way. You know, he was always felt a little bit guilty, because
different.
Well, a little guilty, because I'm sure he had friends who fought and friends who died, and
yeah.
Papa Sam, my grandfather, and had a hell of a time in the Pacific.
Yeah. And my brother, my God.
Your brother lost his hearing in the Philippines when they blew
in the landing on Luzon.
And the Japanese blew up the ammunition dump. He lost his hearing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we always had to yell at Uncle John.
He finally got some good hearing aids.
Yeah. Well, but Uncle John worked out till he croaked. Uncle John.
Yeah, the VA was good to him,
Uncle
though.
John had some arms, and the VA was very good to him, yeah.
He was what?
He had some arms. Uncle John was always in shape.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When he couldn't walk a whole lot anymore, he'd sit in his chair and had some weights he'd lift in his chair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Man.
Really tried to keep up with himself,
yeah.
you know.
And so, while in Marksville raising all the kids, did you ever get a consistent gig, job?
Just with Papa.
Well, just with Papa, secretary work, etc.
See, he ran for Attorney General twice, I think, while we were married here, and I'd go run the office for him while he was out campaigning. One time he ran with Earl Long. You knew that, huh?
Yeah, I know that.
On Earl Long's ticket. Boy, that was something.
Earl would get y'all tickets to the football games, to the LSU football games.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
And
Earl Long was a good fellow.
He'd also get tickets for Steve Coco, but Steve Coco would scalp him, didn't he? Yeah. There'd be strangers sitting in the seats next to you, because Papa's uncle would sell the tickets that Earl Long got him.
Oh yeah. Oh
yes.
Chester.
But y'all got to be it was Chester who was doing that, not Steve. I'm sorry, Ann. It wasn't Steve.
Yeah.
It was Chester doing that. So let's see. But then in the 70s, Papa did well with the petroleum.
Oh yeah. When it finally started making a living.
Yeah, and then
Oh, thank goodness he had Uncle Edgar, who was in the real estate insurance business.
And got him with the
got him started.
The petroleum reserve.
Yeah,
thing.
doing all those titles.
All those titles.
Oh, I went with him every week. We'd go to Cameron Parish, and we went in the motorhome. You know, we'd stay in it because they didn't have any motels worth staying in.
No, it's Cameron Parish. Yeah.
No, nothing in Cameron.
I once stayed in a tool shed. It was somebody's tool shed that they hooked up to look like a camp. And that's where I stayed in Holly Beach once. I was with my daddy and a couple of friends, and we went cramming. We had a good time, but it was a tool shed. There's still concrete floors, and
oh gosh,
it was a good time.
Well, we pulled right up into the front of the courthouse and plugged in to a plug. Papa knew it was there, and spent the night.
There you go.
He did I ran titles with him, you know. I was his secretary and traveling secretary. Except when he was gone, I had to run the office.
Oh, good.
And Uncle Chester was his partner, you know.
Yeah.
They were law partners for a while, but Papa just couldn't take it. Uncle Chester spent all his time looking out the window or walking on the sidewalk.
But,
Oh, Pup's still there.
well,
The good old days.
the good old days. You have anything else you want to reminisce on?
I can't think of anything. But, you know, we moved here 3 weeks before my first child was born. Do you know that?
Didn't know that, no. But y'all moved into the big house originally, though, no? Well, no.
Oh no,
No. When did you get the big house?
Uncle
When did that-
Chester had built a, what do you call it? Where you put the house over the automobiles place. You know.
Oh, okay, like on top of a parking garage. You built an apartment on top of a parking garage?
Yeah,
Okay.
for when he built his big house in the front of it. But he never got around to building the big house.
Oh.
So when we moved here, we rented a house for a while, half of a house, on Bonton. And then we had moved in that apartment, the garage apartment, that's what it was. Uncle Chester had these big ideas he was going to build a big home, but he never got around to it.
Well, your full name's Mary Taylor, but what's your middle name?
Francis.
Mary Frances Taylor.
Mary Francis.
Mary Frances Taylor. That's
It's on my tombstone. Papa put it. When he put his, he put 2
Yeah.
in Moorville.
Well, we might make a pass by the grave if we have time.
That's where he is.
Yeah. You know.
I thought it was terrible. He gave all that land to the church for the graveyard, and when he died, they sold us a lot for him for $1,000.
Well, I think Papa would have laughed at that. You know, Papa was trying to get the last word on the church because when he donated that land and money, he said, I want to either go to the schools, either Holy Ghost or Sacred Heart, or to the graveyard land. He said this specifically. I want to make sure the bishop doesn't get it. I don't think he had anything against Bishop Herzog or Bishop Jacobs.
No.
But, Papa read a lot. I think. He seemed a little, he loved the church. He said his rosary.
Well, yeah.
But, he was a liberal.
That's one of the last things he did. He had me take him all around the parish to all the churches he went to. Like he went in the church in Simsport and stayed in there a while. And then we went to Moorville, and I went in with him there. He went to their old pew, Yeah. He just wanted to do that.
Well, his mom always loved priests and always took care
Mom always what?
Took care of priests. Took care of the priest when she was at the church in Baton Rouge.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely. She was there, I think, almost 20 years.
Papa would tell me about the priest. You remember the story about the priest in Moralville who would do his sermons in French and would always talk about the communiste. So anyway, yeah, the church got the last laugh on Papa. I think Papa would have liked that.
You think so?
Oh yeah, he would have loved that.